Have you ever given too much of yourself and weren't appreciated? This feeling of emotional injustice is real. The truth is, those who didn't value you will only want to come back when they feel the impact of your silence, your absence, and your evolution. The psychology of disdain teaches that power lies in becoming impossible to ignore. You won't win anyone back if you're always available. Humans are attracted to mystery and self-sufficiency. When you stop justifying yourself, you plant a doubt that corrodes more than any absence, making the other person see you differently. In this video, we will explore the psychology of disdain related to Stoicism and how simply becoming inaccessible and unpredictable can awaken regret and change how others perceive you. Get ready to learn how to turn the tables without forcing anything, because those who ignored you once will eventually recognize the value you've always had. Let's dive into the teachings. Lesson 7. The silence that corrodes inside. Silence is one of the most powerful weapons when it comes to reversing the emotional game. While most people chase, beg, or try to explain themselves, those who choose silence send a much stronger message. I don't depend on you to exist. When you disappear from the life of someone who despised you, stop responding to messages or simply avoid being available. You create an uncomfortable space that was once filled by your constant attention. This empty space functions as a psychological mirror. The person begins to realize that the energy that once flowed in their direction has suddenly vanished. This awakens a silent unease, a growing doubt. Did he or she forget me? Am I not that important after all? Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what is within our control, and silence is exactly that, an act of self-discipline. You don't need to confront, you don't need to prove anything. Simply withdraw. It is in this distancing that the other person's mind starts working against them. The absence becomes a constant presence in their thoughts. The lack of response, which at first may seem insignificant, will grow like a seed of regret. But here's the secret. The psychology of disdain shows that humans have a natural tendency to value what they no longer have access to. What is abundant loses value. What is scarce becomes desired. By withdrawing your voice, your attention, and your presence, you stop being abundant and become rare, and everything that is rare is pursued. The most important thing to understand is that this silence shouldn't be used as a superficial game, but as a practice of self-respect. You're not trying to manipulate. You're letting the other person experience the weight of their own choices. If they didn't value you when you were present, now they'll have to deal with the discomfort of no longer having access to you. And over time, this discomfort transforms into desperation, into the urge to chase, into begging. Strategic silence is the foundation of elegant disdain. You don't argue, you don't accuse, you don't beg. You simply become unreachable. Lesson 6. The value of absence. When someone doesn't value you, it's because they've gotten used to your presence. It's like water running from the tap every day. While it's available, no one thinks about its true value. But when the water runs out, that's when we realize how important it was. This same principle applies to human relationships. By distancing yourself, by withdrawing your energy and attention, you create a space that was once filled by your constant presence. And that empty space is unbearable for those who believed they would always have you at their disposal. Absence is a constant reminder. It's the empty pillow that creates discomfort, the conversation that no longer happens, the look that is no longer received. Humans have a natural tendency to only realize the true value of something when they lose it. That's why distance is much more powerful than any word. You don't need to shout to show you deserve respect. Simply disappear and let the echo of your absence speak for you. From a Stoic perspective, this distancing also strengthens you. It's a way to train your emotional discipline, not to react impulsively, not to seek approval at any cost. You begin to realize that you don't need anyone to be complete, that your dignity is more important than your neediness. This attitude is magnetic, because those who didn't value you begin to realize they're not facing someone ordinary, but someone who doesn't submit. The psychology of disdain reinforces this idea by showing that the human brain creates a kind of obsession with what it can't have. The more inaccessible you become, the more the other person desires the return of what they lost. It's as if your absence were an open wound, a void only you can fill. Absence is only powerful if it is genuine. It's not a game of 2 days of disappearing followed by relapses. It's a real cut of energy, a decision not to offer what wasn't valued. Those who despised you need to feel that the privilege of having you is not eternal, that it was lost. And this feeling of loss is what inevitably gives birth to regret. Absence teaches more than 1,000 words. It is what plants the desire to have you back, not out of need, but through the delayed recognition of your true value. Lesson 5. The power of indifference. Few attitudes have as much psychological impact as indifference. When someone didn't value you, they probably thought they had power over you, that they could ignore your emotions and still keep your attention. But when you choose indifference, when you make it clear through silent actions that what the other person does or doesn't do doesn't affect your inner state, it completely breaks the illusion of control. It's like the person was playing a game and realized you're no longer participating. Indifference is different from silence because it's not just about withdrawing. It's about continuing to live, smile, conquer, and move forward as if the other person's presence had never mattered. It's posting a photo without any indirect message, but with genuine joy. It's being at peace with yourself without needing to justify anything. This attitude deeply shakes those who believed you depended emotionally on them. From a Stoic perspective, indifference is an exercise of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius said that it's not what others do that affects us, but how we react. By adopting an indifferent posture, you show that you are not a slave to other people's actions. This doesn't just confuse, it generates growing discomfort in the other person. After all, if you don't miss them, if you don't show pain, it's a sign that maybe the value is no longer in them, but in you. Psychology explains that humans have an almost instinctive need for validation. When your indifference takes away that validation, the other person starts seeking it desperately. It's like a child who stops getting attention from their parents and will do anything to regain it. The lack of reaction creates a psychological void that bothers much more than harsh words or arguments. Indifference, in the end, is a form of elegant disdain. There are no attacks, no offenses, no confrontations. There is only your life moving forward without looking back. And nothing is more disturbing for someone who didn't value you than realizing that you're better off without them. This is what sparks regret, plants doubt, and creates the desire to return. Because humans value what they cannot control. And when you show you can't be controlled, you inevitably become irresistible. Lesson 4. The impact of self-transformation. Nothing creates more regret in those who didn't value you than witnessing your evolution after you distanced yourself. It's as if the absence of the person became the fuel for your own transformation. Those who expected to see you broken, fragile, or begging for attention are suddenly confronted with someone stronger, more confident, and more complete. This generates not only surprise, but also a wound in the other person's ego, because it shows that they weren't essential to your happiness. Self-transformation is a deeply Stoic principle. Instead of wasting energy trying to change others, you turn inward and ask yourself, how can I become better, more disciplined, and more resilient? This process may involve taking care of your body, investing in knowledge, developing new skills, or simply adopting a more mature posture toward life. Each step you take toward growth is a silent reminder to those who despised you. You lost me, and now I'm at an even higher level. The psychology of disdain explains that humans tend to want back what they perceive as valuable and rising. When you show that you are constantly evolving, you automatically awaken regret. The other person begins to think, if they are growing like this without me, maybe I was a burden instead of a support. This type of reflection corrodes from within because it completely reverses the logic. They stop seeing you as someone who lost something and start seeing themselves as the real losers. But it's important to emphasize, self-transformation must be genuine, not a performance to provoke jealousy. It's no use posting a smiling image while feeling empty inside. It's the true glow of your change, the strength of your posture, and the serenity of your gaze that convey the real message. When growth is authentic, it becomes impossible to ignore. This transformation is also for you, because at its core, the goal is not to make the other person suffer, but to reclaim your dignity, your confidence, and your sense of purpose. If, in the process, those who didn't value you end up begging to come back, it will be a natural consequence. After all, nothing is more attractive than someone who has rebuilt themselves, who doesn't need anyone to be complete, but can choose who deserves to walk by their side. Lesson 3. Elegant disdain. There's a huge difference between revenge and disdain. While revenge wastes energy trying to prove something, elegant disdain simply shows effortlessly that the presence of the other person no longer holds any weight in your life. And that's exactly what bothers them the most, realizing that you no longer even invest energy in hating or seeking revenge. Elegant disdain is silent, serene and firm, but hits like a deep blow to the ego of those who didn't value you. When you look at someone without resentment, but also without interest, you send a devastating message. Your value to me has run out. This is much stronger than any argument or shouting, because the silence of disdain weighs more than 1,000 words. Those who were ignored, who lost space, feel this indifference as emotional rejection, and that rejection transforms into a desire to recover what was lost. Stoicism teaches us to conserve our emotions. Yelling, arguing, or trying to convince someone is a waste of energy on something that's beyond our control. Elegant disdain is the practical application of this teaching. You don't get involved, you don't lose your calm, and you don't allow the other person to dictate your emotional state. You simply move on with your life as if that person were just another one among many. Psychologically, this works because the human mind tends to value what it cannot possess. When you show disdain, you are, in effect, removing the power the other person once had over you. This creates a wound in their ego and a desperate desire to be important again, not because you sought revenge, but because the absence of importance is unbearable to someone who once believed they were indispensable. Elegant disdain must be practiced with subtlety. It's not about mocking or being ironic, but about acting as if nothing happened. It's about smiling when you cross paths with the person, but not prolonging the contact. It's about being present but not available. It's about showing that you don't harbor hatred, you just don't care anymore. This lightness, this serenity is what corrodes the most those who despised you. And here's the final secret. Elegant disdain not only makes the other person beg to come back, but it also protects you. Because by adopting this stance, you will never again fall into the trap of begging for affection or trying to convince someone of your worth. You start living with the certainty that anyone who wants to be by your side will have to recognize your greatness, and anyone who doesn't will simply be left behind. Lesson 2. The Law of Substitution. One of the most powerful ways to make those who didn't value you beg to come back is by applying the law of substitution. This doesn't necessarily mean replacing the person with another romantic relationship, but rather filling the space they once occupied with new experiences, new projects, and new connections. When you show that your life continues, and better yet, that it flourishes without the other person's presence, the message is clear. They were not indispensable. Humans have a deep need to feel unique and irreplaceable. When they realize they were easily replaced by healthier friendships, more enjoyable activities, or even a stronger version of yourself, the shock is inevitable. This is when the awareness of the mistake hits hard. Absence is already uncomfortable, but realizing that you filled the void without even looking back creates an even greater sense of despair. From a Stoic perspective, the law of substitution is a practical way to live the discipline of choice. Instead of wasting energy on those who didn't value you, you invest in yourself. It's applying Epictetus's principle. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. You react not with lamentation, but with reconstruction. You show in practice that you don't need anyone to keep evolving. Psychologically, this triggers the so-called loss trigger. When someone realizes they've been replaced, the instinct is to try to regain space. It's like a child who stops being the center of attention and starts fighting to get it back. Those who didn't value you now feel the pain of being swapped, not for another person specifically, but for a whole new world you built without them. But be careful, the substitution must be natural, not forced. It's no use pretending happiness or flaunting a perfect life just to provoke a reaction. What truly hurts is seeing that you genuinely found pleasure in other areas, that you flourished in environments where the other no longer has a place. This authenticity is irresistible and at the same time devastating to their ego. In the end, the law of substitution teaches a harsh yet liberating truth. No one is irreplaceable. Those who didn't value you in the present will have to watch from a distance as your life moves forward without room for late regrets. And it's precisely this spectacle that will make the other beg for a second chance. not so much out of love, but out of the fear of being easily left behind. Lesson 1. The rebirth of self-sufficiency. The key to making those who didn't value you beg to come back is not through games, manipulations, or revenge, but through the rebirth of your self-sufficiency. When you realize that you are whole, that you don't need anyone's approval, affection, or presence to move forward, you become an unshakable force. This is the essence of Stoicism. True freedom doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering oneself. Imagine the psychological impact of this on someone who once despised you. This person believed you would be dependent, that you would always be available. But now when they look at you, they see someone who flourished alone, who doesn't crave attention, who doesn't beg for scraps of affection. This image is devastating to the other person's ego, because it shows that not only have they lost their place, but they've also lost the chance to be part of your new version, stronger, calmer, and more powerful. In practice, self-sufficiency means learning to enjoy your own company, cultivate inner peace, find joy in the little things, and build a meaningful life without relying on others. This is deeply attractive, as it reveals emotional maturity. Those who didn't value you begin to realize that not only have you moved on, but you've also reached a level they no longer have access to. Psychology shows that nothing creates more desire than what is difficult to attain. And when you become self-sufficient, you transform into something unattainable for those who once despised you. Not because you distanced yourself on purpose, but because your evolution created a natural barrier. Now, to be by your side, it's not enough to just come back. They have to deserve it. They have to elevate themselves to the same level. This realization is what makes many beg, try to win you back, and desperately seek to regain a place in your life. But the biggest secret is here. By achieving self-sufficiency, you no longer need the other person to return. If they come back, great, but if not, nothing changes, because you've already rebuilt yourself from the inside. This is the moment when the game turns for good. The other's regret becomes inevitable, but your peace no longer depends on them. You've stopped being a prisoner of external validation and become the master of your own fate. In the end, the rebirth of self-sufficiency is the silent victory. It's when you look in the mirror and realize that nothing is missing. And it's at this moment that those who didn't value you realize too late that they lost someone who will never again be controlled or diminished. This is the final blow, not of revenge, but of freedom. If this content resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Comment below on which of these lessons made the most sense for your life. Your participation strengthens our Stoic community, and remember, true value is within you. Never forget that.